This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman. This week, community members in Montana held a series of Justice to Be Seen walks to demand justice for many Indigenous people killed or hit by vehicles there along Highway 93. They're focusing on Mika Westwolf, 22-year-old Indigenous woman struck and killed in March by a driver as she was walking home along the highway in the early morning hours. The driver was identified as Sonny White, a suspected white nationalist whose two children who were in the car are reportedly named Aryan and Nation. They were in the car at the time of the crash. Sonny White has not been charged in connection with Mika's death. Mika Westwolf was a member of Blackfeet Tribe, also Diné, Cree and Klamath. She was an avid athlete and poet. This is Mika speaking in 2016 about graduating from Big Sky High School.
My name is Mika Westwolf. I'm a student at Missoula Big Sky High School and a member of the Blackfeet Nation. I am also Navajo, Cree, and Klamath. Earning a high school diploma would mean that I could get into a good college or help my people get a good job. My mom helps me a lot because she always helps me out with my work when I'm struggling, or she always gets after me to do my work and always tells me to try my hardest and tells me that I can do anything I want if I just put my mind to it. My plans after graduation is to go to the SKC college. What I want to do is there's a program there that is like you can be a dentist assistant, and that's what I want to do.
Mika Westwolf speaking in 2016. Her life was tragically cut short in March. And for more on the calls for justice in her death, we're joined in Washington, D.C. by Erica Shelby, a tribal legal advocate for missing, murdered Indigenous women. And we begin in Arley, Montana, with Mika's parents, her mother, Carissa Heavy Runner, and father, Kevin Howard. Our deepest condolences for your loss. Can you tell us about your daughter, Mika? What kind of person she was, what were her aspirations, and why you're walking now, why you're on this walk to demand justice?
Hi. Yes, Mika was very loud, curious, energetic, very intelligent, active little girl until she was, a young woman. She read a lot. She did a lot of writing. She got to travel all the way to Nepal. She had a love for being outdoors. She wanted to hike everywhere, camp in the mountains, travel. And she wanted to go back to Nepal and climb the mountains there. She fell in love with it there, and she danced powwows before she could walk, and I had to help her. And she just was a strong, intelligent Native woman, and I know she would be right here if I wasn't in this situation for fighting for justice for my daughter, and it was for someone else. She would be right beside me. She was a little activist.
We're doing this walk. We want Lake County to investigate these kind of crimes. Something that in the past they haven't done. So if they're not going to do it, we're gonna do it for them, and we're gonna force them to do it.
And Erica Shelby, you're in Washington, D.C. Explain what you believed happened. Was this an unintentional car crash, just a tragedy, or why you believe that Mika Westwolf may have been deliberately run down?
Well, when we spoke with James Lopatka, the county attorney, he explained to us that, the talks had come back on Sonny. He had also taken it for Mika, which we still don't know why. And she had trace amounts of fentanyl and meth, nanograms.
That was Sonny?
There was no skid marks, no brake marks. Yeah, Sonny White. And so...
The driver.
The driver. And so, it's not regulated like THC or alcohol where you can give it a DUI at a certain percentage. So how we understood it is it's legal to have these in your system and be on the road. But if they're trying to tell us that that wasn't a factor in her driving, well, then it can only leave that this was intentional.
And what does skid marks have to do with anything? The fact that there weren't skid marks, what does that say to you, Erica?
You know when you hit a deer. You know when we live in Montana, we hit deer. You know when you hit something. And the fact that she didn't brake, that she didn't swerve, that there's no sign of that, tells me, it indicates to me that at least it needs further investigation. And he can go off of, the county attorney Lopatka said, that nothing indicated that it was intentional to him. That's very superficial. And he's explained to us that he doesn't make determinations until he gets final reports. So how is he making determinations like that?
And what are you doing in Washington, Erica Shelby? What are your plans in bringing this case to the nation's capital?
Carissa and Kevin started this walk, and at the beginning, we didn't know how big it was. And then we got there, and there was so many people, and everybody has the same story about the same players, the same agencies, the same police, the same attorneys. And it's enough is enough. And they've been alienated, and they're isolated, and they're made to look crazy, and they eventually burn out. This system, it breaks us down. Where they're supposed to serve and protect, they're victim blaming. They're breaking us down. They're over-criminalizing us. We're overrepresented in prisons. We're overrepresented in the missing persons cases. We're overrepresented in the murdered cases. We're only 5% of the state population, but in 2021, we were 30% of the missing people's population. So something has to change. And I'm here to get the attention of the people in D.C., Tester, Daines, Murkowski, Schatz, everybody on that Senate Committee for Indian Affairs, the president, everybody. He was the one who supported VAWA, who wrote VAWA, who got VAWA in there, the Violence Against Women Act. He made sure Indigenous women were included. Now we need him now. He spoke about the MMIW crisis at the State of the Union. He needs to come now and step up and see what's going on our res.
Carissa and Kevin, I want to give you the last...
It's happening on other reses, too.
I want to give you the last word as the parents of Mika. You are on the last day of the Mika Matters Walk. If you can talk about the significance of ending at the steps of the Lake County Courthouse. We just have about a minute.
Yes. For me personally, and I imagine for everyone else, it's going to say a lot. Us walking from Arley all the way to the outside of the courthouse, because we want to hold them accountable. They need to step up. They need to hear us and see us, and the other families hear their stories and the frustration, and not only them, but the world, to listen to our stories and feel our pain, see our pain, that we are trying to make a difference and change and hold those in charge accountable.
Lake County has a long history of corruption and an unfair, blaming of Native Americans, and it's got to be fair and equal. So we're gonna hold Lake County accountable. We're gonna ensure that the Montana Highway Patrol is accountable. They have a long history of not investigating crimes against Native. If it was reversed, if it's a Native on white crime, those are heavily investigated, heavily enforced. So there's a disparity there that needs to end. So that's our goal.
Well, I want to thank you both, and again, our condolences to you both, Kevin Howard and Carissa Heavy Runner, parents of Mika Westwolf. And I want to thank Erica Shelby, tribal legal advocate for missing, murdered Indigenous women.